His name is Charles M. Fong,
Great,
F-O-N-G, Fong.
great. And what is today's date?
Today is, I don't remember. I can't remember any date.
Okay.
Shall I prompt you on that?
Do we want to prompt or not?
Oh, no, that's okay.
please.
Okay.
Today is the, you can,
Okay, today's date is Monday, November 3rd, 2008.
Monday, November 3rd, 2008,
And what is your current address?
2094 Kenilworth Avenue.
Say, my current address is. My current address is.
My current address is 2094 Kenilworth Avenue.
Perfect. How long have you lived in Silver Lake?
I live in Silver Lake, I don't know, about 34 years, or 30 or 40 years.
Since 1954, I think was the year we moved in.
When and where were you born?
I was born in China, Canton, Dintao, called that, the village.
Is that a small town?
It's a town, an average town,
An average sized town?
yeah.
And what were your parents' names?
My parents, my father is Fong Young, F-U-U,
Y-U-N.
Y-U-N,
And your mother's name?
Liang Si.
My mother's name is Young Si. And my mother's name is Young Si.
My mother's name is Liang Si.
Terrific. And now, what does the name C mean? Because I looked at the book that Lisa C. wrote, and she talked about the fact that there was someone by the name of Young C, and there was another Young. So what is the difference in the names?
Oh, the other one is English and one Chinese.
Which one is Chinese?
The way they pronounce it and the way they use it. Fong Young. Young is Fong Young, and it's an American name my father used.
And Fong Si was his brother. What does that mean? Why do they have two different last names?
No, the C because the Chinese,
C, doesn't that mean four? Say,
no,
No?
C is because they call his name and when he was a young boy.
They used to call him Si when he was a young boy?
Yeah, so it's always C. C, number 4, it means.
C means number 4. Great. And so your parents, when did they ever come to America?
Yes,
When did they come to America?
oh, a long time ago. My uncle, my uncle come in to America a long time ago. I don't remember how long.
I think it was in the 20s, huh?
Or it was before, it was like in the 1800s. Did they come for the gold rush?
Yeah, they come in and gold rush, but they don't come in for the gold.
They came in for what? That you said they did not come for the gold, or
Yeah.
did they come for the gold?
They don't come for the gold.
What did they come to America for?
like my uncle, he come in for business.
What type of business?
Oh, just to make money,
Big money business?
to make money.
What was the big money
Big
for?
living, huh?
Big living for what?
So to make a living.
To make a living.
Yeah.
Did he come by himself or did he come with his older brother and did he leave two brothers back in China?
He got all the brothers back in China,
Mm-hmm.
and later on, my father comes in. My father didn't come to America a long time after my uncle.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
We thought. Okay. Go.
What are your names?
My name is Mason Fong, and my father's Charles Fong, and his Chinese name is Ming Kun Fong.
It's great. What is your current address?
2094 Kenilworth Avenue, Los Angeles.
Great. And today's date?
2000,
November 2nd. Okay. 3rd.
Yeah, November 3rd.
November 3rd, 2008.
Great. And how long have you lived in Silver Lake?
Since 1954.
You haven't. What about your father?
The same.
The same, 1954?
We all moved here from Chinatown back then.
Great.
Remember, we live in blah blah blah, or we moved in here. Okay.
We moved in here. Say, we moved in here
Oh, we
in
moved.
1958.
We moved here in 1954.
Okay, great. So, your father, where was he born?
He was born in Guangdong province in China, in a smaller city, which he says it was a large city, but I'm sure it was a small city. It's called Dimtao, and it was his uncle had lived in America and sent money back to the family, and he did well in America, and he built a very large, probably the biggest house in town. So they were, like, I think one of the wealthy people in this village. I think it's more like a large village.
And they came over to America, and for what reason, for what purpose?
To make a living, to send back money to the family, and with the purpose of eventually bringing everyone over, which they finally did.
Mm-hmm. So your father had, how many brothers were in the family? How many siblings were there?
There were how many brothers did you have, Pop?
I don't know. I got
Six.
There's so many of them.
There were three brothers, and one died when he was a baby. That was detailed in the book on Gold Mountain when they were kidnapped, and the baby was kidnapped also and died during that process.
Someone was kidnapped? When did that take place?
My dad was how old were you when the kidnapping took place? About 8 or something like that?
No, it was about 12.
About 12.
What happened?
They were kidnapped for ransom.
Were they kidnapped for ransom, sir? You were kidnapped for ransom?
Well, he was actually the one who escaped. He hid under the bed. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's right.
He hid under the bed, and they came to kidnap the three older, the oldest brothers, and so they found two of the older brothers, and so they didn't find him, so they got the baby, and they took the baby also. So they thought they had the three that they were supposed to kidnap, and
One of them was a girl.
no,
No?
no, his two sisters came later.
Ah,
They were younger, so he had two sisters later on.
Where did the kidnapping take place? Here or in China?
Oh, in China, yeah.
So, in other words, did the kidnappers do this for money or for what reason?
Definitely. They were, as I said, one of the wealthier people in the village, and so they specifically, spotted them and planned to kidnap them, and in the end, I don't know how long the process was. Apparently, a number of months. My grandmother had to go and negotiate with the kidnappers to get the kids back.
So, did any of the children die during that time?
Yeah, the youngest, who was a
The
baby.
baby died.
Yeah,
So the baby died.
because it took so long, and they were like out in the jungle. Is where she had to go. She made this long trip. I don't know how she did it, but she went back frequently to negotiate, and finally, I don't know what the amount of money was, but
So they did get money.
yeah, and they got the kids back.
So your father, he stayed under the bed to be safe.
Yeah.
And they never came back to get him or anything.
No, because they didn't know at that time, until they were already gone back, that they really weren't supposed to get the baby. They were supposed to get the three older kids.
So then you and your brothers came to America, and you came here because on Gold Mountain. I read Lisa's book. Your niece, is Lisa your niece?
She would be my cousin, I think.
Your cousin. I read her book and she talked about Gold Mountain. Could you tell us what Gold Mountain means? And start off with saying Gold Mountain means.
Well, Gold Mountain means, Gumsan is the term used to describe America, which does mean Gold Mountain, which basically means it's a mountain made of gold, and that's where wealth could be had, and that is why the family came there. And my uncle, it wouldn't be my uncle, my granduncle, my father's brother, who is my granduncle, who goes by the name Fong, was the first one in the family to come over, and he came to do business, and he bought and sold things, and I'm not sure exactly what he started with, but I think it's described in the book, the types of things he bought, but he eventually went into antiques and furniture and things like that. But, yeah.
Great. So you mentioned your uncle's name being Fong Si. What were your parents' names?
Well, Charles is my father, Ming Kun Fong, and my mother's name was Li Sao, was her maiden name.
Maiden name. So your father's name was Young, and then your uncle's
My grandfather's name was Yun.
was
Fong
Young.
Yun.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
And your great uncle's name was Si. Could you tell me why they had two different last names?
Well, we're all actually Fongs, but he goes by the name Si because it was kind of switched when he came over. In Chinese, you say your last name first, such as my name is Fong Yun. When he came over, things were switched on my uncle because he was the first one over. So since he wrote his name Fong Si, they thought his his last name, C, was his last name. They thought his first name that he went by.
As I understand it, in China, you were known by your family name first,
Right, right,
and then by your given name.
right, that's it.
And
Family
when
name
you
and
came
given
to
name.
this country, the immigration people got it mixed up, and that's where the C and the Fong separated.
Right, yeah,
So
and-
Fong C would be Fong number 4.
right. He was the number 4 brother.
Right. It's interesting.
And yeah, just as all of us we're known by, we don't even call each other by our names, or we do now because we're Americanized. But when we're growing up, you refer to your brother as brother number 1, brother number 2 in Chinese.
And the number 1 son,
Right.
etc.
Great. So getting back to your parents again, what was your father's job?
The first job. What was your first job in coming here? Probably. Well, he as most of the years I've known him, he's been a shop owner, and he's owned a number of shops in Hollywood and in Chinatown. But way back a long time ago, I mean, he's done everything. Worked as a machinist, right? A lathe operator.
Oh, during the war.
Oh, during the war.
Hmm.
So,
I was a machinist.
machinist, and he's done. Oh, I remember one story where he opened the shop with my uncle, and they got into sort of a big fight, and because his uncle was selling a bunch of things, and he didn't want to share that with him, because it was his idea to sell these items, and so he just quit and said, "Here, you can keep the whole business," and so he went home and told my mom about it, who was upset because they had about $25 in the bank and 6 kids, which is what I have 5 brothers in the family, so they had a big family and no money, and he just like said, if that's where you're going to be, I don't want any part of the shop, and just walked away from the shop. And then he got a job, as he just told me the other day, as a dishwasher, and started all over again.
What about your mother? Did she work too?
Yeah, well, not all the time, but I remember many times that she did come home late, and as I remember, she had sewing jobs. But then I think when I was about 10 years old, 6 years old, 6 or 7, they opened a Chinese restaurant, and that was the one business they had that wasn't an antique store. Was the few years they had having a restaurant in Maywood, California.
How did that go? Did you enjoy that, having a restaurant?
Did you enjoy having the restaurant?
Well, yes. That's the work I could do.
It's great. So you moved here in 1954. What was the neighborhood like?
The neighborhood, it was ordinary.
Well, didn't you say you thought it was like, I asked you that before, you said it was like, you thought it was like Beverly Hills to you, because we had moved from Chinatown, and we had lived in a house, where I think 3 of us slept in one bed, 3 kids in one bed and 3 in the other. My grandmother lived with us, and my uncle lived with us, so we were a lot of people in this little house. And the neighborhood was, I mean, Chinatown is nicer now, but back then it was not that great a neighborhood. And so when we moved here, that would be in '54, when they saw the house and the neighborhood, they thought it was just, it was like heaven to them. And
How were you received in the neighborhood? Were there many Chinese families in the neighborhood in Silver Lake at that time?
uh,
No, not
Yeah.
too many.
yeah, I don't think we knew of any, actually.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no Chinese.
Were people kind to you then?
Yeah, they are just same like anybody.
Yeah, that was a reason they liked the neighborhood too, I think, is that they felt comfortable here. They didn't,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And do you know anything about the history of Silver Lake?
Not really. I don't. Do you know much about the history, Bob?
History of Silver Lake is because the lakes in there, that's what it is.
Do you remember it ever snowing here in Silver Lake?
No snow. No.
I remember one day.
You do?
But that was in Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
That
What
day.
happened?
Oh, it snowed. We woke up one day and there was a little bit of snow on the ground.
Were you a boy then?
Oh yeah, I was.
12
I was
years old?
No, I was.
1946? No, you were
Yeah,
smaller
something.
than-
I was probably 5 years old because I was really. I barely remembered it, but I remember it. So, yeah, it would have been something like 46.
About 46.
Yeah, do you-
47, because I was 7, you would have been 5.
Oh, and you remember also.
We didn't go to school.
Oh,
We made snowmen and made
Ah.
things that our parents knew about snow. We knew nothing about snow.
yeah, me too.
When you moved to Silver Lake, what were some of the things you did, and what school did you go to?
I went to the first school was Thomas Starr King. That would have been junior high school. So I would have been, I think, 12 then. And I remember one of the things I remember was running up. The school was just on the other side of the hill, and I used to go with my brothers. Let's see, one of them went to school with me there. The others were already in high school, and the oldest was in college. But we used to run through people's backyards and go up these stairs, just go through all these different backyards to go as direct as we could to school.
So there weren't as many houses as there are now.
No, it was pretty. There was quite a bit then too. I mean, I don't think it has changed that much. Maybe some areas, but when I look around, it seems pretty much the same to me.
Do you remember any particular kids you used to play with when you were growing up here around the neighborhood?
No, I don't recall really meeting people in the neighborhood other than my neighbors, and I don't think there were any kids my age right on our street.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends, of course, in the school, but they lived in other areas.
Did you go to Marshall High School?
I did, yeah.
And what do you remember best about your school and your classmates?
They were all smarter than me, I thought. And
Why do you say that?
I didn't do too well in high school. I tried really hard. When I was in grade school, I did real well, and then towards the first year of junior high, I did well. But when we moved here, I sort of got lax about school, and I really did enjoy being in the neighborhood, and but I sort of didn't concentrate on school. And until I got to high school, then I started getting serious about it. But by then I was kind of behind, and everyone else was pretty much on the road to college. And so I eventually went to college, but I was a little bit behind the top students anyway.
And what college did you go to?
Well, I went to USC for my first couple of years and studied architecture, and then I decided that I wanted to be a painter, and then I went to Otis Art Institute.
Oh, that's great. So you're a fine painter?
Yeah.
That's fabulous. So we'll get to see some of your work.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
That's great. So, what did you do for sports or clubs, or did your parents take you on any vacations, or what did you do when you weren't at school?
Well, I used to go to my dad's shop. He had a shop at the time, yeah, when we moved here, he had the shop in Hollywood, which was on something like Hollywood and Wilcox. So after school, I'd go over there and work at the shop, usually. And I wasn't real social. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I didn't have a car. I would take the bus from down Sunset. And,
Was that the Red Line?
no, this was just the regular muni bus at the time.
Do you remember the Red Line?
I remember the streetcars from Chinatown. Those were the open streetcars on tracks, and so the Red Line was underground. Was that?
The red car
Oh, the red car.
ran down Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, I don't remember that. So, but I remember going to junior high school, and the streetcars would run down, let's see, where did it go? Broadway to Figueroa, and that's where the junior high school was back then.
So at the moment, you and your father live here? Does anyone else live here with you?
My youngest brother,
And what is his name?
Arthur.
Arthur. Now, is he Lisa C's father? Oh, no, she's your cousin. Lisa is your cousin.
Lisa is my cousin.
Could you show us the book that she wrote?
Sure, this is it.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
It's about the main character is Fong, who is my grandfather's brother, and that's my father's father. And it's his story about coming to America and starting out here. And again, Gold Mountain being where the wealth was, and that was just what the country. It wasn't even a description of the country. That was just the name of the country, Gold Mountain.
How did Lisa compile the information?
She interviewed quite a number of relatives, more than I've talked to. So she, without her interviewing everyone, I think most of that information would have been lost. She interviewed my father for quite a long while before writing the book.
Right. How many in your family are in America versus how many are in China?
Oh, I don't know of too many. I did go to China once in 1990 with my parents, and met some relatives there who still lived in the same house that he grew up in, which is now gone. But they were really just a handful of adult relatives there that I met. But here there's probably, I think we had a family reunion a couple of years ago, and there were maybe over 150 people.
Is mostly everyone here in California or other parts of the U.S.?
Mostly in California, but I think there's now, they're all over the place.
So would you basically say that everyone who wanted to come over came to America?
No, I probably not. Yeah, it was. See, my grandfather had a second wife, and that second wife stayed in China with the second family, and I don't know if did Se Bak Gung have a second wife that stayed in China, Pop?
Yeah.
That also is true. So they're, yeah, they couldn't bring both families over, so one family would have to stay behind.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent money to take care of them.
They couldn't bring both families. You mean since he had two wives, only one family would be allowed to legally come over?
Right.
Is that part of the policy for America, or is that part of the policy for China?
I'm sure for America, right? Because it was, yeah, that was accepted that a man could have, I guess. I don't know if it was it actually legal to have two wives, or was one wife?
You can go over.
Hmm?
Even in America,
This is legal all over.
two wives or three wives, whatever. It doesn't matter. At that time, many people have many wives.
Did they? How many did most people have? How many wives did most people have? Most men have?
Oh, most people have three wives.
3 wives. Would they all live in the same house?
Yes,
Wouldn't it be only the wealthy ones?
of course.
Yeah.
It needs money to support all those three.
So would the first wife, would she be like the main wife, or did it not really matter? Was the main wife the first wife? Was she like the head wife?
Yeah,
And then the other 2 wives might have been younger?
yeah, younger.
And then how many children would say one man have with the 3 wives?
I don't know. Sometimes just one, they want more. That's all.
Mm-hmm. When you were a little boy, what was it like growing up? What kind of games did you play?
I play with the seats, with the broken piece of tile and things like that.
And what did you do with the broken piece of tile?
Become like a ball, like all kind of so around.
Did you grow up by the water?
We got some water.
Describe the farmhouse. It was a farmhouse you lived in, right? In Dimtao?
No, we don't live in a farmhouse. We live in an ordinary house.
Oh.
In the city, huh?
Yes,
Did you go to school as a little boy?
yeah. Well, 7 years old, I start school.
Did you?
Yeah, in Chinese, all in Chinese.
All in Chinese.
Yeah. Because it's all nothing but Chinese around.
Did you have any animals? Did you have like a dog or a cat?
Yeah, I have a cat, always a cat. That's all.
Did you play with your other brothers and sisters?
Yes, of course.
Did you have electricity and hot water?
No electricity.
No hot water? Was there a bathroom inside the house?
Hot water, we used to, hot water, we gotta cook it.
Did you have servants in the house?
Yeah, that's how we got 2 servants.
Did your mother work?
No, she doesn't work. She works in the house.
What was your mother's name?
My mother's name is, oh, I don't remember.
Leung, right?
Young C.
Leung Si.
When you grew up, was Chinese spoken in the house
Yes, with my mother. in
with your
particular.
mother? But did you also speak English as well?
Yeah, pretty much.
So it would be both in the house.
Yeah.
No, in China, nobody speaks
Yeah.
English, only China, only us.
Right, when he grew, I grew up here, but he
Right.
grew up in China. Although, when you came to China when you were like 14?
I came to the United States. That's how I came to China.
Yeah, he came to the United States when he was about 14,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until he was, so he came to, went to school here from 14 until he was about 19, and that's when his father sent him and his two older brothers back to China to get wives, and so they went back and went to like an agency to a marriage broker to find wives, and he went and he's often told the story about how many people, how many women did you interview before you met Mom?
21.
21.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that process? How did you come to choose your wife? Did you choose her or did your parents choose her?
Both I chose her first because my parents must be happy with it.
So what did you like about her? What made you choose her?
Oh, because she's wise. She got a good standing.
She had a good standing?
Yeah. She went to school, on a secondary school.
He often mentioned that he actually went to the school to interview the teachers to ask questions about her and everything. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Wisdom first.
Absolutely. How long was it before you got married to her?
Oh, about 6 months.
Took that long. Did you have to pay or did she have like a dow, or did her parents have to pay something in order to marry you?
We got to be supposed to have a certain amount of money to give her. That's all.
Certain amount of money to get her?
Yeah.
And how long were you married?
Very well, now about 75 years.
75?
Yeah, I think so.
And how many children, did you have any children?
Gail.
6 children.
Well, that's great. And where do they live now?
Don't ask him who all the names are.
Okay, I won't.
Gail,
Hmm?
have you asked, this can be edited out, but have you asked what year he came here?
Yeah, 1954, yeah.
No, what year he came to this country?
Yeah, well, I'll ask again.
We didn't
Yeah, we
know,
did.
but he was about 14.
When
So
he
14
came.
from 96 would be 82 years ago? And what's 82 from 2008? I'm trying to figure
Okay,
out the year that they arrived
right
in this
here.
country.
Okay.
It's in the book. I want to get a picture of you holding the book
What was
too,
that?
still.
What was that, 19 what?
Well, he's 96.
Right.
He came here
When he was
when
14.
he was 14.
You see it, Quill?
1927.
I'm gonna zoom in on the book. I already ordered a copy on the net.
So I covered everything,
I'm
right?
going to put it in.
I saw you done.
So 1927 is when you came.
28 or 27.
27, 28.
Mr. Fong, can you tell us a little bit about anything you've learned about life that you would like your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to know that might help their lives be better because of that?
I don't have what you say.
No, about life. You know, you've lived a long life, and I'm sure you've gone through so many things, and you've learned probably so much from it. What would you like your future generations or your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to know? What tips would you give the younger generations about life so that they have happy lives?
So, like a happy life, always like a grandchildren and happy life.
So she wants to know what you would teach them.
Oh, teach them.
Yeah.
Teach them to be good to everybody.
Good to everybody. Mm-hmm.
That's a good place
Respect,
to end.
yeah.
That's a good place to end it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you would like to say?
Oh, many things. I could talk all day long. So many things, but some of the stuff you don't understand.
Why do you think we wouldn't understand?
Because the lives are different.
How?
Because we all like to see the first thing, the family first. In America, in China, when you come to America, the people, so it's different.
So in China, family first, but in this country, it's different.
It's different.
What comes first here?
Huh?
What comes first here in this country that's different than China?
Money first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yet you came from China to make money.
Okay.
Because, yeah,
Okay, but you brought your values with you.
One of the questions that you didn't ask that I remember talking to him about was why he came, why they chose Silver Lake when they moved here, why, and his main reason was, I mean, they liked the neighborhood and everything, and it's a beautiful lake and all that, but really the practical reason was that it was near the shop, which he had at the time in Hollywood, and it was also near Chinatown, which is where my mom did all her grocery shopping for Chinese food, and if we wanted to go out to eat at a restaurant, we never ate in the neighborhood. We would go to Chinatown to eat, or to Hollywood to work. So it was like halfway in between both, and it was just a convenient location, as well as being, a beautiful place to live.
What was the process of finding the house? Did you go through a realtor or?
No, my mom mentioned that too. That she played mahjong. That was her main social activity, and she did that every day. and so she met a lot of people. She knew a lot of people in Chinatown, and there was one family who told her about the house that they had been looking, this house that they had been looking at and considering buying, and they said, but if you want it, you go ahead and take it. So they looked at it, and so that's how she got the connection, just from someone else who had been looking in the area. But they were willing to allow my mom to bid on the house.
Do you remember what the price was of the house back then?
$20,000.
Yeah. Can you imagine what it's worth now?
I always ask that question, and people say things like $17,000, $22,000. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So were you aware, were you aware of, while growing up here in Silver Lake, what would you say were the differences, and if you were aware of the differences between you as a Chinese family versus the rest of the families in the area?
Yeah, I would say it was mostly white, and I don't recall any other Chinese families, Latin families. We did have a black neighbor, so it was integrated, but it was still primarily white, and but it was not uncomfortable. I mean, I never felt like I didn't belong, or that I just felt fortunate. I thought it was more economic than anything. I thought, well, I really did realize it was I didn't realize that what price the house was worth or anything like that back then when I was a kid, but I knew the neighborhood was a really nice neighborhood, and so it was, but I didn't feel like I didn't belong.
Can you paint a picture of what it was like growing up here, and what places were your favorite places to go, whether it's restaurants or any shops in the area?
I actually I've always enjoyed walking in the area because it was, the streets are beautiful, the houses are beautiful, and it was very different from growing up near the downtown area, which is what Chinatown was like. So in that area, it was not, you would not walk around for pleasure in particular. You'd walk to get somewhere, but here it was an easy place to just relax and to hang out. But I did not do a lot of socializing through school, and it was either going to school, coming home, or going to work at my dad's shop.
Do you walk around the reservoir?
Oh, now I do. Yeah.
I've seen you before.
Yeah, probably.
But you look familiar.
I see him all the time. We see each other all the time.
Great.
Is that it? Any more questions? Anything you have to say? Or it's very good.
No, nothing in particular.
Okay.
And we can go down to the shop if you
Love
want to. And if
Okay.
you have more questions down there, if you want to
Okay.
shoot
Okay.
anything down there.
Yeah.
Those shops, which he had, I think one of his original shops was down in. So it's, I think that was one of the shops, and then China City, which used to be, actually across the street from Philippi's, which is now a parking lot for Philippi's, and this was before Chinatown was built, and it was apparently built with sets from this movie, The Good Earth.
Oh, yeah,
And
sure.
they used a lot of that
You
to.
want to take it?
Yeah.
because it was a,
Good for her.
she felt she was playing the bad part.
Yeah, but she didn't want to
So
do
she,
that.
and then she went back to China.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so that so that's now run by the only living son who I went to school with. His name's Gary Fong,
Mhm.
and it was
The 40s. I sold their property about 4 years ago. Mr. Lee passed away. Mr. Lee used to go to Chinatown all the time, and he used to also gamble there. He was wonderful. I loved Mr. Lee. One time he was coming back from Chinatown. Sometimes he would just get in his car and take off. They were the best, and they would take my husband Rod and I. We would go out with them sometimes to dinner. We'd have the 17 years.
17.
Yeah, we lived over in this house for about.
Yeah, I could.
There's no audio, so you can say anything.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
just talk. Mhm.
Yeah,
Am I
just-
any way? You want me to move to the?
Well,
They live,
You mean like Michael Wu?
Michael Wu, yeah, they lived on the street too, didn't they?
They live around the corner. They live on Balmer. Michael.
Oh, they
Wu's-
live on Balmer?
Yeah, Michael Wu's house is on Balmer Street.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of the people. We have a lot of cousins now
Right.
who live on the street. One down the road here on Kenilworth and one on the other side. Oh.
Yeah, and then when Michael got married, his wife had 3 dress changes. Michael had 5 best men at his wedding. It was a wonderful wedding, and it was in Chinatown. We had a magnificent time.
The wedding itself was in Chinatown?
Mhm. No, the wedding wasn't in China. I'm sorry. The wedding was actually at Lowe's in Santa Monica. It was at the hotel Lowe's in Santa
Oh.
Monica. But later on, it was a
A
reception.
banquet,
Yeah,
yeah.
the banquet was there, and we had. I mean, there were so. And you know, my mother went to China. My mother loved China. She went to China maybe about 2 years ago. Mom went to China, and she's actually coming here next week. She lives in Virginia, but she'll be here next
My
week.
mother-in-law loves China. She's 96 too.
She loved it too.
She went like 5 times.
Yeah, I would love to go to China, and I think we're gonna go. Because Rod, my husband, actually wants to learn Chinese. He has some books and he has some tapes. It's just that he stays so busy that he hasn't gotten around to it.
Which one? Oh, yeah,
White?
that's them. That was, I think
Isn't that
maybe the
great shot?
50th anniversary.
Oh, really?
Amazing.
Except that in order to take the picture, I have to be in my own light.
Well, can we turn on the light?
No, it's okay.
So this is the one who lives with us now. He's an attorney, and that's me, number 4. So that's number 1 son. That's Hao, the oldest. 1, 2, number 3, 4, 5, and 6.
You know, I probably will call you and jot those
Sure.
jot those names down
Sure.
because I didn't bring a pad with me. But this is be a photo we definitely want to use of your whole family. It's a great photo.
Beautiful beach.
Did you see the other one in the dining room?
You getting?
I think that's my mom and dad.
How about those?
Yeah, that's my mom and dad too. Yeah, I've forgotten already.
That's your mom and dad too?
Yeah, that's my mom and dad, and that would be
Thank you so much for talking.
my oldest brother and the second brother. That would be Hao and Gary.
I was kind to everybody.
And this one would be my mom's, my mother's
Oh, I didn't-
mother and father. I never knew him. He had
Too
died
much glare?
in China.
It's okay, actually.
Less glare.
And this is the latest one.
Now, who are these? Your grandfather?
No, this also would be. Oh,
No, this
this is
picture.
my mother's mother.
Your grandmother.
Yeah,
And your grandfather.
My grandfather.
Hmm.
But I never knew him. I always knew. These are all my mother and father. All these pictures.
This one too? Your mother and father?
Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
think that's them. That doesn't
She looks
even
like a
look like
kid.
them. Yeah, she was,
I took
I
shots
think,
from Jan's.
18 or 19. Let me.
It's a Thanksgiving card to people. If that's okay, could I do that? I'll give you credit.
No, no, that's another Schindler, that greenhouse. Do you
Yeah, I
remember?
know,
That's
yeah.
the other one. I wonder who lives there.
I don't know, because I sold the one right next door to it. I can find out who lives there. You will have Toe family, T.O. It's a husband and wife, and they have a son. That's who lives in it or something.
Well, I think the living room is up above.
Top.
Maybe that's just Phil. Maybe there's nothing under there.
Well, that could be. Maybe we have to walk all the way up the stairs to that first level. Or maybe it could be one of the places where
Well, I think the
living
entry
room is up
Hi,
the
Gail.
stairs.
is on the other.
Hello.
Well, my Virginia, if we can use some of that early stuff,
Uh-huh.
when Mr. Fong is in the chair, do you think we can intermix it? None of us went to film school. But we're having a wonderful time and meeting terrific people.
Okay.
He wants me to go first. Okay. They're coming out.
Okay.
It was fun.
You wanted the door open?
No.
This way.
No, because it would be. It would.
Can I come out too? No? Okay. It's coming to me.
One, two,
Do
three,
that, but then pull
four.
back.
1, 2, 3, 4. You gotta leave it at least 4 seconds.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my God, I just love
Tell me
it.
something about this place.
Oh, this is great. Okay, I'm getting the cake.
This was, I think my grandfather started.
Am I in the way?
Tell me. You were telling me about this place?
Well, my grandfather used to have the shop next door. There used to be a doorway right there. And he used to sell mostly furniture. And my aunt and two uncles actually started this shop back in '52. And they had started this shop when my grandfather had a shop in China City, and it burnt down back in the '40s, I guess. And so he never went back into business, and then that's when my aunt and uncle started up this shop, and then they slowly got him back into the business where he opened up next door with a furniture shop. So that took place in, I guess 52. And those two fish up there my grandfather made, and he made that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that owl kite right above you also, he made that. I don't think you can see it from there. And there's a picture of my grandma. Oh, I put them
Oops.
up for you, they're really tight and they're easy to swim out with the drinks. And
Love
when
them.
they
I
have
love
a lot
these
of
miniatures.
pieces in it, they're more, when they have a lot of pieces in them.
Christmas presents.
Yeah, there you go.
One, two, three, four. See, these little details help for editing.
Oh, yes. That's okay, we'll handle the interview.
Ah,
No, Mama, del caballo. Don't wash the horse. That's what you get.